On June 16th, 2024, I visited Hansa Park in Sierksdorf, Germany for the first time. Unfortunately, due to a bit of travel fatigue, I only spent about 4 hours at the park, but while I was there, I managed to ride all of their operating roller coasters, as well as a bunch of other rides that I had hoped to get on. If you've watched my channel at all, you probably know the drill by now. I love to rank roller coasters, so here are the roller coasters of Hansa Park, ranked from worst to best. Before we get started, I released a vlog from Hansa Park a little while back, so if you'd like to see my original reactions to these rides, go ahead and check that out. It's a really funny video, I think, and probably much better than this one. But also, finish this video before you go to that one. Thanks. Coming in dead last on this list at number 7 is Crazy Mine, a Maurer Rides Wild Mouse. As I said ever so emphatically in my vlog from Hansa Park, fuck this ride. I hate Crazy Mine, it's dog shit. I'm already, for the most part, not a fan of Maurer Rides Wild Mouse coasters. I like Mock Rides Wild Mice a little bit more. I especially like Matterhorn Blitz at Europa Park, but for the most part, I'm not a big fan of the Wild Mouse model at all. This one is just as bad as the rest, except for the end, which is far worse. As you're going up the lift hill on this ride, you see a sign that says to brace yourself for sharp stops, which I adhered to on my first and only ride on this coaster. But when you get to the end of the ride, you hit a declining brake run that slams to a stop, and I was ready for it. I had braced myself, but since it slammed to a stop, I then relaxed. The ride then lurches forward and slams to a stop again, which just shoved my upper body directly into the restraint in a way that felt like it could have seriously injured me if I was in a different position. Now, I know there's probably a few of you thinking I'm chicken shit for saying that this could potentially seriously injure me, but the restraint is really high up on this ride as the seats are super deep, so it's right up around your stomach and chest area, so if it hits it at the right angle, you could probably crack a rib. You can say you like painful rides as much as you want, but you probably don't want them actually injuring you, right? Anyway, that brake run was so bad that it single-handedly made Crazy Mine one of the worst rides of the entire trip, and maybe I'll go and rank all the worst rides from the trip later on. At number 6 on this list is Kleinetsar, a Preston and Barbary mini coaster. Kleinetsar is a kiddie coaster, and a good one. It's perfect for kids, and it's got some nice theming around it, and I enjoyed myself on it a lot more than I did on Crazy Mine because my chest didn't feel like it was gonna explode, so it's got my seal of approval for sure, and I don't think there's anything else to say about it, really. At number 5 is the Royal Scotsman, a Vekoma Junior coaster. Royal Scotsman is one of the more intense junior coasters I've ever been on. It has some pretty wild laterals towards the beginning of the ride and does not let up throughout its entire layout in terms of providing an intense family ride. I thought it was a lot of fun, and it weaves around that whole area around Nessie and Highlander super well. It looks great from an off-ride standpoint, and the only reason it's not higher is because it doesn't really have any theming on the ride itself or in the station, unlike the rides above it. At number 4 is Schlangen Midgard, a Gerstlauer family coaster. Schlangen Midgard has some really great theming for a family coaster, a lot more than you ever would have expected or needed for this kind of ride, but it has this awesome section before its lift hill where you get some dark ride stuff going on, and it goes through its layout twice, and the story appears to progress on the second trip through, which is really cool. The whole lake area that it weaves around is sweet, looks great. It's just a really cool family coaster. The only issue is the fact that it's got some lower capacity because it goes around twice, but I'm not going to knock the ride itself for that. It's a good ride. At number 3 is Nessie, a Schwarzkopf looping racer. Nessie is easily one of my favorite Schwarzkopfs, without a doubt. It has such a great layout. The whole area around it has been integrated so well to interact with the ride that it all feels so natural. The helix around Highlander is so well done, even though Nessie was there first and they put Highlander inside of its helix. Royal Scotsman goes through its loop twice, which is just insanely cool and looks great on ride and off ride. And as for the ride itself, Nessie's loop itself is super forceful, just like every other Schwarzkopf loop is. It's got some nice pops of airtime coming off of the mid-course and on that final drop into the brake run. It's just so well done. It's smooth, it's comfortable, and you get some nice forces. I couldn't ask for anything better. The top 2 are kind of unsurprising to pretty much anybody who knows anything about Hansa Park, so at number 2 is Fluk Von Novarad, a Gerstlauer Eurofighter. I might have sounded a little negative about this ride during my vlog from Hansa Park because I was just so tired and was having a rough day, and I ended up getting my second wind later on, but while I was at Hansa Park I wasn't too happy. But this ride, in hindsight, is so sick. The actual ride experience for this coaster is probably its weakest point because it's a Eurofighter. I don't like Eurofighters very much. This is my favorite one by far, but I still don't like them. They're very shaky. The over-the-shoulder restraints are just not my thing. I bash my head around a lot. I'm not a fan of that part. But everything that's inside in this coaster is almost perfect. The theming is so well done. If Karnan wasn't here, this would be like an insane headliner in terms of the theming that it has. It's such a cool experience. I'm not going to spoil any of it. I think it's such a well-done dark ride with a cool coaster section. The launch is really cool too. You're just suddenly going 62 miles an hour out of nowhere. The launch is so fast. The acceleration is crazy. You almost don't feel it. My main complaint with this coaster is that it doesn't have lap bars. If it didn't have those over-the-shoulder restraints and had lap bars instead, this would be a wildly different ride experience to me, and I think it would be so much better. But unfortunately, we've got what we've got. And finally, number 1, the least shocking placement I could have possibly come up with. It's Der Schwerdeskjarnen, a Gerstlauer Infinity coaster. Now, I am not as big a fan of this coaster as most people are, but I cannot believe how insane Hansa Park went in creating this thing. Being from Florida and being around some incredibly well-themed roller coasters my whole life, I do not say this lightly. This is the best themed roller coaster in the entire world. And if you like themed experiences, you have to come to Hansa Park and ride this. You cannot miss it. I'm not going to spoil this ride because I want everyone out there to get on this thing with no idea what's coming, because what they've done with the thematic elements inside and with the way that the track actually adds to the theming is so unbelievable. I cannot express it with words. It is stunning. I genuinely think that this might be the scariest roller coaster ever built, if not just the most intimidating. The structure, looking at it from outside, you just see this giant castle that somehow has track in it, and you have no idea what's going on in there, and when you find out, it completely blows your mind. What happens inside of that tower has never been done before on a roller coaster, and will probably never be done again, because it just completely tanks the capacity of the ride and probably makes it very difficult to keep operating. And it requires a scale that is so massive that you would need to invest an insane amount of money into it, and then you'd just be making a Karnan clone. The theme of Karnan is so well fleshed out and is honestly so creepy. The queue itself is really unnerving. They even found a way to turn the double-sided lockers into a pre-show, sort of, and then there's another pre-show after that, which I'm not going to spoil either because it's so well done. I can't stop gushing over the theming for this ride because the amount of effort that Hansa Park put into making this thing immersive, and I do mean immersive, is just so insane. I'm not going to spend much time talking about the layout. I don't think it's very good. This ride goes 80 miles an hour and just completely wastes that speed on a bunch of turns and 1 or 2 airtime moments. There's just not a lot going on here, and it's really upsetting because if this had a good layout, Karnan would be the best roller coaster in the world, and I don't think it would be close at all. It is so well done on the theming side of things. All the layout had to do was be passable, and it would be really hard to beat. But it's just super weak for a 240-foot tall roller coaster. It just baffles me how uninspired the layout is with how wildly inspired the theming is. But it can't hold back how insane the theming is. So go ride this roller coaster. It is incredible, it is worth your time, and maybe you'll like the layout more than I did. I'm just setting the expectations a little bit lower on that front. The theming is incredible, you're gonna love it no matter what. So that is every roller coaster at Hansa Park ranked from worst to best. This video sort of functions as a way for me to review every ride there without making individual reviews for them because this list doesn't really have any shockers in it. There aren't really any hot takes to be seen here. But if for some reason you disagree with my list, let me know. I would love to hear any sort of differing opinions from mine. And I hope you all enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and if you got this far, go check out my vlog from Hansa Park. I think it's really good. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.